So I was just reviewing some sales calls from people who basically pay me to privately train them, watch their sales calls back, give them feedback on their sales calls, and help them close more. And I had this one client, right, who's a male. I'm not going to give you any details. I'm not going to tell you the niche or anything like that because I don't have permission. But he came to me and he was like, "Oh, Matthew, I don't know what's happening with my sales calls recently. I'm doing really well in the call. I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm talking to the prospect, but I just keep getting to the end of the call and I just keep getting objections. I keep getting told I need to think about it. I keep getting told that I need to ask my partner, and I have no idea why that's happening." You probably might have felt the same at some point. So, anyway, I took a look at his calls and there was something glaringly obvious that he was doing wrong, that he couldn't see. And do you want to know what that was? Well, you probably do, because considering you clicked on this video. But the issue that he was having and the mistake that he was making was that he was becoming a coach on the call. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so when you go onto a sales call, your job as... So, actually, I'm going to start that again. With sales, and when you go onto a sales call, you are not, like, let's say, for instance, let's say if I was a fitness coach, right? Obviously, I'm not, but let's say I was. When I go onto the sales call, the whole identity of Matthew the fitness coach goes. Okay? Now, what you need to do is replace that with the identity of Matthew the closer. I close deals. I help people. I make things happen. And that's what you want to go onto the call with, because I've watched a lot of tape. I've watched a lot of hours of sales calls from online fitness coaches, or not even fitness coaches, coaches in general. And the trap that they fall into a large majority of the time is that they go onto the call as a fitness coach. Now, you are not a fitness coach on a sales call. You are a salesperson. Now, I know I know to some people that might not feel nice, that might not sound nice, but it's the reality. Because if you go onto a call with a prospect and you are a coach, you are not doing your job. And I can guarantee you this is what's going to happen. You can actually download a tool called Fathom.ai. Okay? Very, very good tool for sales scenarios. I use it myself, and what it is, for those of you who are unaware, it is a AI call recording tool. So it sits on the call, it comes as a member of the call, it will record what you say, it will record a transcript, it will give a summary of the call, it will give not an evaluation, but like a breakdown of the call, and you can obviously watch the call recordings back. Now, the beauty of using this tool is you can see and ask AI how much someone has spoke for, what majority of the conversation was you, what majority of the conversation was them. And if you go onto a sales call and you are talking for more than 30% of the time, you are coaching someone. When you get onto a sales call, the whole point of the call is for you to just be asking questions, listening to the answers, and then asking follow-up questions. A large majority of your talking time on a sales call should be towards the end when you're pitching and potentially handling any objections that might come up. When you're going through the sales call, the discovery phase, everything like that, your job is not to talk. It's to ask, poise, and listen. And if you're going on to a sales call in the mindset of being a coach instead of a salesperson, then I can guarantee you that you are going to talk a lot more, which ultimately is going to lead to the prospect not talking, which then leads to them not opening up, which then leads to them not going below surface level, which then leads to them not giving you the emotional information and the emotional leverage that you need to close the deal, which will then lead to you having objections. You'll have, I need to think about it. You'll have, I need to ask my partner. You'll have, I can't afford it. all because of you being a coach on the call. Now, another thing to note as well is that, God, I'm really uncomfortable. Another thing to note as well is that you, as a coach on a sales call, do not want to be talking about your product, your service, your pillars, your app, your workout plans, your check-ins, your accountability tools, your members area, your exercise tutorials. You do not want to be talking about that. And the reason is because ultimately the prospect does not care. The prospect does not care about all of that. Now, they are going to justify their buy-in decision off that, but they are only going to buy on the emotion. And you only create those emotions through asking questions, through probing, through getting the prospect to open up, through creating a gap in your questions, by essentially finding out what that person wants to achieve, what pain they're going through so far, why do they want to achieve that goal, what will happen if they don't achieve that goal, how will that impact their life if they did achieve that goal. And those sort of 4 primary questions are going to be the questions that pull out the emotional leverage that you need to close a deal on a sales call. Now, if you are coaching on a call, the prospect is going to switch off. I've watched a lot of sales calls where someone has started going into detail about their program, why they do it, how they structure it, the phases and stuff like that. And I can actually see a prospect just sit there through their non-verbal communication and just look very disinterested. They sit there, they're like, yeah, okay. And you can just tell that the prospect just isn't really that interested. Now, the reason behind that is because they do not care about the bridge that they have to take to get to their goal. And let me ask you this. When you book a holiday, right? You've probably heard the analogy of sell the holiday, not the plane ride. When you go to book a holiday and you're on Ryanair or TUI or British Airways, you don't care. You don't care about the added extras with your luggage. You don't care about all of this stuff. You don't care about your seat selection. You don't care about check-in times. You don't care about your boarding pass. You are just doing that because you know it is a necessary step in order for you to get to the place that you want to go. And that's how I want you to see a sales call. The more you talk about the plane ride, the less the prospect wants to go on the holiday. But the more you talk about the holiday, the more the prospect wants to go on the holiday. So if we were to really make use of this analogy, when you are on a sales call, talk to the prospect about the beach, about the activities, about the feeling that comes with the holiday, and do not mention the plane ride, and don't talk about the plane ride. And if you are talking about the plane ride, you are coaching someone, which is not what you're on the sales call to do. The purpose of the sales call is to find out the emotions, find out the emotional leverage that you can use to get the deal closed and to get that person as a client. And I can guarantee you that if you do this, 80% of your sales calls issues will go away. And I've seen this happen time and time again with myself, with clients, with friends that I've just helped out for just being a friend to them, sorry. And it's so powerful, so powerful. And I've watched too many sales calls where the prospects, the person selling has just talked about the plane ride. They've talked about the journey. And then, not to my surprise, they've got to the end of the call and the prospect wants to take some time off the weekend to think about it. They want to take 2 or 3 days to ask their partner to mull it over, to chew it over, to weigh up if they can actually do it. And all of that headache, all of that frustration can simply be taken away and remedied by you not being a coach and remembering why you're on that call, what you're there to find out, and how you can actually help that person. So please, sell the holiday, do not sell the plane ride. And I can guarantee you that you are going to make more sales, make more money, and you are going to face less objections. Okay, now that is my verbal promise to you. Give it a whirl. Let me know how you get on with it down in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next video.